Welcome to Folding Towels, a podcast for massage therapists with Jackie and David. If you are enjoying our episodes and want to support the production, consider buying us a coffee. Your contributions help us bring you more insightful discussions and expert interviews. Follow the link in the show notes or visit buymeacoffee.com/Folding Towels podcast to contribute, and thank you for your support. Welcome back to another episode of the Folding Towels podcast. Hello, Jackie.
Hello, David. How you going?
Yeah, life's always interesting, isn't it?
Yes. Let's not elaborate on that at the moment, okay?
There's curveballs that come up when you do not need them.
It's very stressful.
Yeah. I think we'll just jump into the episode, Jackie, because we are joined today with a guest.
We are joined by the lovely Davey from Massage Myotherapy Australia.
Welcome, Anne.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Hi.
We've talked to Anne before. We caught up in May of 2024 when we were at the Massage Myotherapy conference in Tweed Heads. And Anne has reached out to us because back in episode 83, we talked about a bit of a sensitive topic, which we just called when people do the wrong thing. And Anne's taken this opportunity to talk to us from the association perspective of maintaining high standards and ethics within the industry.
We're very excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you. And I was very impressed with the fact that you actually did that episode, because a lot of people shy away from discussing such topics. But also, there's a lot to unpack when you're talking about ethics in massage complaints. There's a lot of extremes and there's a lot that goes on that I think people are not aware of to protect the public, protect the therapist, and protect the industry.
This is really something that I have said to so many people since we interviewed you and Selena Hagen as well at the conference last year, because I think if we just let you go on and on, you could have talked for about 5 hours about all the things that you're up to with the association, everything you're doing for the industry. And honestly, even I was surprised. I knew that you did some of this stuff, but even I was surprised at some of the things that are happening behind the scenes that so many people don't know about. So I'm absolutely overjoyed to have you again on the podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That's very kind words. And I think what we want as an association, and it's not just me, I have a team of people, I have committees, I have directors. Anything that happens, it's a team effort. Even though I talk about things all the time. But I think what we just want the industry and our members and all practitioners to be the best that they can be, and for that to then translate to the public trusting massage and myotherapy practitioners.
I think there isn't an industry around that doesn't have a level of governance to it. Even though with ignorance, we probably think there is. It doesn't matter whether you're an accountant or a lawyer or an engineer. Look, I came out of a sport and recreation background, and volunteers in sport, there are certainly governing principles there around safety to the public and just good practice in doing things. Can you talk to us a little bit about what self-regulation means within the context of massage therapy in Australia?
Yeah, sure. So a self-regulated industry is an industry that exactly that, self-regulated. So, as all listeners would be aware, you can't get approved provider status unless you're a member of an accredited association. So that's legislated. The difference between a self-regulated and a regulated healthcare industry, such as those that are with AHPRA has those legislative powers. So what they could do is, if you put some advertising out that they did not agree with that may bring that industry into disrepute, they can fine you and force you to retract that advertising, or they can suspend you from practicing permanently or intermittent or not, like while they investigate. Whereas for us, we don't, as an association, we don't have those legislative powers. At best, we can review a matter and then remove that member from our association and notify the private health funds, but there's nothing to stop them joining another association or from practicing. But now that most of the states have adopted the National Code of Conduct for unregistered healthcare workers, we now have that legislative power. We can refer or we can submit a complaint directly to the Healthcare Complaints Commissioner or the Health Ombudsman, depending on the state, and they can put an interim prohibition order out while the matter is investigated. And they have a lot more resources and a lot more power to be able to review a matter. So it's still our ethics matter if we receive a complaint, but we have that extra layer.
Yeah. And you would receive complaints either from practitioners about other practitioners or direct from the public, from a whole gamut of things, from things which might be trivial and academic through to things which are serious and are criminal matters.
Yeah, we do. And, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. We do receive complaints from members of the public about sexual assault, about inappropriate touching, inappropriate communication. And our first response to that is contact the police or contact the Healthcare Complaints Commissioner or the Health Ombudsman. Or we support them to do it, because sometimes and we'll call them victims, complainant, victim, for them, that phone call or that email, that first one, is really difficult to do because, there's all sorts of emotions going on. So what we can do is then, with their permission, provide the information either to the police or the HCC, and then they will contact them. And that seems to be an easier pathway for a victim or complainant. So we don't take them lightly. We don't try and shove them under the carpet. We own it. If it's one of our members, we will discuss it if we're asked to. But it doesn't mean we like it. It is what it is. But other complaints could be poor draping, and a patient will put in a complaint that they did not drape properly, or they dry needled me and they didn't obtain consent.
Yes.
So you could say they're minor, but they're not. Or they said they would massage me for 45 minutes and they only did it for half an hour and they won't give me a refund. So we get all sorts of things, and you really have to adhere to the principles of natural justice. So you listen. It has to be in writing. Our process is all complaints must be in writing to allow our member to respond to the complaint and to provide us with their client notes, with their patient notes, with their policy on giving refunds. We have to have them reply, because otherwise it's just not fair. You're just assuming that they're guilty, and that's not our job. We do have a national ethics committee we have volunteers on there, and so they get all information. Once we get the response back, sometimes we have to go back and get more information, and each of the committee members reviews the matter against our code of ethics. So they are not making a personal judgment. It's got to be against our code of ethics and whether that has been breached. And when you talk about the minor ones, if they haven't got their clinic notes, then, that's your defence mechanism. That's to protect not only the patient, but also the practitioner in an event that they are the recipient of a complaint, because they're your evidence that you did the right thing. I did ask them about a contraindication. I received verbal agreement for dry needling or cupping. Whether you agree or not agree that you should have written consent, at least you've got something in your notes on the day. Notes that are written in response to a complaint, they're not they're not accepted. It should be notes on the day or within a certain time frame. And I'm not telling you anything that any practitioner shouldn't know. But so then what happens is it comes back from being reviewed by the ethics committee, and we collate all those results, and then we write a determination, and we get the chair of the ethics committee to review that determination. And then that is sent to both the complainant and the member. So that, and, you know, if they haven't got their clinic notes in order, we require them to do some training with that. And then 3 months later, 6 months later, it depends on the matter, we ask them for more clinic notes so that we know that they're continuing to work to, you know, to be the best practitioner.
Yeah.
It's the bigger complaints that I think that keep me up at night, you know, and you think the poor victim, the poor member, is it true, you know, we've had matters that have gone directly about our members have gone directly to the HCC, and the first thing they do is put an interim prohibition order. Now that lasts for 12 weeks while they review and investigate the matter. And even if they get to that 12 weeks and they haven't finished the review, they can just add another 12 weeks until they get to an outcome. But if you get to the outcome and you're found innocent or there's no evidence to support the complainant, the damage is already done to the practitioner. They haven't been able to work for a minimum of 12 weeks. Their reputation, let alone their mental health. But then you've got to think the complainant was of the belief that something happened. So that's affected them. So there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to ethics matters. And we have to be very, very careful that we treat each and every matter, well, with the utmost confidentiality. But again, the principles of natural justice. You know, we're not a judge, jury, you know, and police. We are there to go through a process and have all the information that we can. It is hard, and the National Code of Conduct for Healthcare Workers, everyone should know about. Our National Code of Conduct, our own Code of Ethics and Standards of Practice. I mean, they're nothing that you wouldn't learn when you're learning to be a massage therapist, remedial massage therapist, or myotherapist. It is the basic what you should be doing, not what we think. It's the standard that we're looking for in our industry.
It's the minimum.
It's the minimum. It is very much the minimum. And, you know, a lot of, you know, I feel like we get a lot of ethics complaints, but only because I worry about them. But I don't think we do when we have 8,500 members, and I think we publish them every 3 years, whether they're formal complaints, informal complaints, whether they're indictable offences, you know, and I think we're up to publishing again this year. You know, we probably average 10 or 12 a year. So out of a membership base of 8,500, but part of me, I don't want to say I'd like to see it increase. What I'd like to see is the public being much more aware of what is expected in a massage. So, you know, the old saying, if it doesn't feel right, if your gut feeling is it's not right, then it's not right. But the public also should be aware that massage isn't necessarily just a nice to have. Our members work in the healthcare sector. So why don't members of the public make sure that their practitioner is qualified, does have insurance, does have first aid, whatever it is that you ask your optometrist, you know? So the first thing I do if I go to a new medico or optometrist or dentist or anyone, I look for their qualification. Yeah. Mostly because I'm interested to know where they studied more than anything. But you know, my message is that we I keep saying we practitioners, I'm not a practitioner and everybody knows that, but as an industry, we need to be the best that we can be. We need to be professional and educate your patients and your clients because they will educate their friends and the schoolyard talk and the coffee shop or the water cooler talk, whatever. And then that way we're educating the public, not only of the safety, but the benefits of massage as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if I may sum up for our listeners, really more than anything, what you are saying is obviously we have to meet this minimum standard, but that is covering things like we need to drape correctly, which is a whole topic in itself. We need to have our credentials visible. We need to talk to our clients about these credentials and that we do, X, Y, Z to make sure that we are proper therapists, that we have. Oh, what's the other thing that I was going to say, David? There's something
informed consent.
Informed consent, yes, to actually get that consent for whatever it is that's happening. And also, one of the biggest things is to make notes of every single thing that was talked about, every single thing that you did with that client, or if you said, hey, can I do some dry needling for you today? And they say, actually, no, thank you. Write that down as well.
Correct.
That kind of sums up.
That does exactly sum it up because it is you're educating your patient, but two, you're covering yourself.
Yeah.
It's protection of you, it's protection of your patient, it's protection of the public because, people move around. You've probably got patients that have seen you for a year and then they go off and see somebody else. If they go to that somebody else and they go, oh, well, Jackie asked me questions all the time and she wrote, she told me she wrote everything down and she draped like this, then they will know that the next person, oh, maybe they're not doing it properly or maybe they're doing it better. It's, and I have to say, because massage is, and again, I don't like this word, is so intimate. You're two people in a room.
Correct.
And it's he said, she said.
Correct.
And it's easy to, you could have a patient for 5 years and if any of yours are like me, I do not stop talking when I am on the massage table. So you would become familiar with your therapist. The therapist becomes familiar with you and you might get a little bit slack. And that's where people come unstuck. And you might go, oh, I'll send them a text and it could be 10 o'clock at night about their appointment. That's not appropriate. Or it could be, oh, I don't need to leave the room for them to get changed. They don't care. Again, not appropriate. You've got to protect yourself and I keep saying it, be professional and be the best therapist that you can be.
Yeah.
When it comes to any level of policy, and leaving the room for someone to undress is a procedural or policy matter. If you have procedures, you have policies, you apply them consistently. It doesn't matter who the person is. You follow the policy, you follow the procedure, and you do it all the time.
Correct.
When you deviate once, that is not a good thing.
Exactly. And you can be the best therapist in the world. And, it's like when you're driving, isn't it? And you're driving to work, driving the kids to school and it's the same road every day. And then suddenly you go, oh, I'm here. It's that momentary lapse of concentration. And that's where a lot of practitioners may come unstuck, I think. And you don't want to end up as a complaint. Because it will stay with you. You will second guess yourself all the time if there is a complaint made about you, whether it's vexatious or not, or founded or unfounded. It will always be in the back of your mind, I think. Well, that's what I think anyway. If I had a complaint about me, I would always be second guessing myself because you don't want that to happen again. And it's like any health profession. It can be a risk because, it is just two of you in a room. So it's like when people, I think many years ago, we had a graduate try and join the association and they were 17. and you can do TAFE at 16, and somebody wanted to employ her, and we said, no, we can't have her as a member because she's under 18. And they said, no, I'll vouch for her. I want her to work for me. She's a very good therapist. And I said, I'm sure she is, but she's still only 17. And what happens when she's in a room with a patient alone? So, and all the education, there's probably not that much difference between being 17 and a half and 18, but the law says 18, you're an adult.
Correct.
So, again, we were protecting the therapist.
Well, in some ways, it's that slippery slope, isn't it? Well, if you make if you do it for that one person, then you have to do it for everybody.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And, there is a lot of research around the world about sexual assault in massage. And I need to follow up with some people in the US. There was somebody doing their PhD on complaints in massage and sexual assault, and that is complaints from the patient to the therapist as well as the other way round. And I just think that it's a worldwide problem and it's not going to go away, particularly in Australia with the decriminalisation of sex work that your listeners possibly know about because we've done a lot of work in this area, that's creating more confusion for the public because sex workers in a lot of states are now legalised. So they have, which is, you can argue it's a good thing, they have the same protections as any employee. But what's happened is that they can call themselves massage therapists because it's not a protected title. So we complained to the ACCC saying it's misleading advertising, but unless they get like a gazillion complaints, they don't actually do any, their hands are tied. They can't do anything about it. Yeah. But the public are confused because of this, and then you have your massage shops or your beauty therapy day spas, and then there's the health sector. And I think this is where we're doing a lot of our work to remain in the health sector. Our members have worked hard to be qualified, hard to build up their businesses. So let's keep it that way, and let's keep it on people's radar that it is a health benefit and a health service.
It's a comment that we've made before, is that massage therapists are crying out to be taken seriously in the industry. But being taken seriously in the industry also comes with taking some responsibility and being serious about being a health practitioner.
Correct. And it can come down to what you're wearing too.
Yes.
You don't provide a massaging board, shorts and thongs, no matter how hot it is. So it can come down to the language that you use. It can come down to the way your clinic room looks. It's to be, and sadly, what someone does in Brisbane can affect the reputation of somebody in Melbourne, from one side of the country to the other. And, this is where us as an association are sitting, that our members, we say we're the home of professional therapists. In every one of our submissions, we say all of our members are qualified professional massage therapists, remedial massage therapists and myotherapists. And and that is powerful because what we want is the public to go to qualified practitioners for healthcare. So, but we'll keep fighting the fight, and protection of the public is the main concern, and protection of our members and other practitioners.
Yeah. The complaints process is a tricky one for anyone making a complaint about anything, and receiving that complaint is a tricky thing. Coming out of the sports sector, where protection of minors, the growth of awareness in child protection within that sector, and coaches who may have one-on-one contact with children, those sporting clubs being required to have procedures in place of member protection, what happens if a complaint is made. And I remember talking, because I sat in state government for this, and I remember talking with the club saying, oh yes, Children say the darndest things. So, well, okay, that seems to fly in the face of legislation. If you receive, if you suspect, or if you receive, you've got to take action on that. And again, it's about applying this policy fairly and consistently. But we do have that fear that a complaint is made. What does that mean for the individual if it's a false complaint? But we know that people have worked their ways into positions of power, and Jackie and I have had a friend in the massage industry who did bad things. We had no idea until it became the thing. And if you'd come to ask me, oh, we think that so-and-so is a bad person. Oh, but he's married, he's got children, he's my friend, I've been to his house for barbecues. All
We didn't know
complaints.
until after he'd been arrested.
Correct.
Yeah. And that is, as I touched on earlier, that is an extreme. And
Yeah.
fortunately, we are not aware of too many. There are, in my time working at Massage Myotherapy Australia, there have been some, but that person a predator? Did they study massage so that they can prey on people? Or was it something, like I said, where you become complacent and gradually you get away with something and then it just develops into something? So the matter that you were talking about in your previous episode, they were a member of ours, but we didn't know them. We have 8,500 members, so they were a compliant member. They didn't have any history. So we don't know the reasoning behind it, and nor should we, but there's two ways that this can go, or several ways that it can go, that somebody has this mindset to do this, and that's the avenue they take. They become a qualified therapist, or it's just happened and they don't know how they got there.
And these matters of investigation exist in all industries. And taking work health and safety, for example, it doesn't matter if you're shocked by 12 volts or 12,000 volts, an investigation has to take place.
It does. Yeah. It does. And I think where massage sits, and it's quite difficult because if you employ massage therapists, you're required to provide a safe working environment. But how can you do that if you get a patient that sexually harasses a practitioner?
Yeah.
Because they're in a room one-on-one. So it's not all, our ethics matters aren't always just one way either. So, I mean, we can't investigate or review where a member is complaining about a patient, but what we can do is tell them where to go. So mostly it would be the police. But so as practitioners, I mean, Jackie, I'm sure you would get, being a female practitioner, and our industry is 85% female. And I said this in a member meeting a few years ago, and I said, we did a pulse survey, and I can't remember the stats, but it was something like 70% of respondents said that they had been sexually harassed or spoken to inappropriately by patients. And I had a male member say, I find that hard to believe. It's never happened to me. And he'd been in the industry for 20 odd years. And I said, yes, but you're male. That's the only difference that I could see, was that it's the patients that he treated. Maybe he was treating the elderly or treating sports or treating so there's so many variables that can affect any of this, that and the journalism, yes, we all know journalism is to sensationalize things, and I think the public should know about these things, but it's not always that extreme. And when I talk to our members, it's not about protecting you from, well, it is protection from sexual assault or protecting the public from you, but it's all these other things that can effectively go wrong that you so succinctly summarised, Jackie. So, it's the smallest of things that could end up, and it will, like I said, it will stay with you.
Yeah, this is our livelihoods that we're talking about.
It is. It is. And if somebody does make a complaint, it can affect your livelihood. It can affect your career. It can affect your confidence to even treat somebody at all, or if they say you injured them too. That this is why contraindications and any medical history you should know about. So it's not just so that you keep paperwork, it's so that you're fully informed before you commence treatment.
I
Well,
remember
I
talking
think
to one of our in inverted commas members about being spot audited by a health fund.
Oh, yes.
So been contacted, and do you need to bring in notes and receipts? We're going to check to see this claim has been made on this day. Show me your treatment notes. So she's turned up to her clinic, and she's got bags of receipts and files under her arms, and they've asked her for the first two things corresponding, and then the guy's like sighed and gone, "You're not a risk to us. we're just terminating this right now." She's like, "But I want you to continue, but we don't need to. We have a high level of confidence that you're doing the right thing."
Yeah. And that's a good point too, David, in that the health funds, whilst it's a requirement of being an approved provider, it is legislation to keep health records as well. And by accepting approved provider status with the private health funds, you agree to keep proper clinic notes. You agree to not abuse the private health fund and put through claims that are not real. And they are within their right to audit any practitioner that they have on their books, because they've also got to answer to government as well.
Correct.
That they're not paying rebates that they shouldn't be. So there's a lot of moving parts in this space, and it's not all doom and gloom. I think we need to look at it as it provides a sense of legitimacy too. Because all of the things that are in our code of ethics, that are in the National Code of Conduct, all practitioners should be doing anyway.
Basically everything that we're talking about today, and that we have talked about before, some of the topics that we talk about in this space, David and I see it all the time in the Facebook groups. And when you mentioned that fellow before who'd been a massage therapist for 20 years and oh, no, the verbal assault, the sexual assault, no, that doesn't happen. He must be living under a rock.
Well, maybe wherever he lived, whatever he did, and it shouldn't be something that is accepted either. As an industry, we shouldn't just go, oh, well, that's the nature of the industry.
Yeah.
People get confused. It shouldn't be like that. And that's why, I implore every practitioner to educate their patients so that they then educate. And it can be something as simple as, have you seen that shop down the road with the flashing light? I'm not sure. You can't pass assertions. I'm not sure, but I don't know that they're qualified. And then they'll go and talk to somebody else to find out. And someone will say, they went to that shop, and they'll go, did you ask if they were qualified? So you've educated two people here.
Yeah.
Not just your patient, their friend.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many of my clients that have come in, new clients, and some of my regulars, that I've said to them after they've told me, oh, I went to see somewhere else, it could have been anywhere else. And I'll say, okay, how was it? Like, what did you have done? Did you enjoy it? Did it meet your expectations? And they say, oh, I don't even know the therapist's name, and I didn't have to fill out any paperwork. And I'm just sitting there going, oh dear. And then that's when the education happens. I'm like, okay, well, there's actually a form, like we legally must have, your name, your date of birth, your address, all these things. And people just don't understand that. They think they can just go and pay $50 and get a massage.
And I think in the world that we live in, it's such a fast-paced world, and people, they don't want to, like, if you're a good therapist, like my myotherapist, I have to book ahead. Like I have, if I had treatment today, I would have to book today for my next appointment, right? People don't want to do that. You know, they want to go, okay, I want a massage today. And they just go to somewhere where they can get that massage, and they don't think about anything that could potentially go wrong in that treatment. I remember many years ago, my sister-in-law was pregnant. She said, oh, I had this massage and it was fantastic. And I said, oh, were they trained in pregnancy massage? She goes, well, I don't know. Yeah. But see, if I didn't have this job, I would probably think like that too. So, yeah. So again, it comes down to that education piece, I think. Yeah, and it's, and like I said, ethics matters. They really, really do. They're the things that, one of the things that keeps me up at night. And, I dread the day when, it's one of our members. But like I said, we have to own it. And we can't be responsible for every action that all 8,500 members do. But what we can be responsible for is ensuring the public are aware and that our members know their responsibilities and their rights. And, we do have an online learning program that Priscilla Fleming wrote because she was sexually harassed ongoing, that she almost gave up massaging. And so in that online learning program, she talks about how to recognise it, how to move a client on safely. It's all about safety of the practitioner. So there's a lot in here. It's not a good topic, but I am as I reached out to you, I am more than happy to talk about it. And I think it is a topic that cannot be pushed under the rug, whether it's a minor complaint to a major complaint, as you talked about in the previous episode. I think that it's something that we need to take ownership of, and we, again, need to be the best industry that we can.
I think people are ready to take that step. I've been in this industry for like 12 years or so, and I think that we are able to connect with each other from across the world, across the country, across the state. And even though, Facebook gets a bad rap, I think we are very diligent as an industry about being in Facebook groups and connecting with other therapists.
Yeah,
and actually like talking about this. I think we're ready to take those steps.
And I know some of our one of our ambassadors, and I use this example a lot, they got their local neighbourhood watch policeman to come and talk to the group about safety in the home. So if you're running your practice from home, and they just gave little tips, and from memory, one of them was, don't have a new client that hasn't been referred when you're home alone.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that to keep the practitioner safe. Yeah. And I'm sure, I know of a hairdresser that does that as well. They won't see a new client at 8 o'clock in the morning when they're in the salon on their own unless they've been referred or they, know them. And so I think there's a lot that we can do as an industry to educate ourselves and talk to each other, as you said, about keeping ourselves safe and keeping the public safe.
I think we'll draw the conversation to a close.
Yeah, I think I've said everything. Sorry.
I'm going to come back to a previous comment about therapists desperately wanting to be seen as professionals in the industry, and it's our responsibility to be professionals and to take steps to play with a straight bat, to be honest, to be upright, to do the things which are expected of us, and to take adequate steps to protect ourselves. And in doing so, we are protecting our clients too.
Absolutely.
That's very good summary, David. And I think that the majority of our practitioners do, but unfortunately there's some that don't.
And I implore any business who has multiple practitioners who may be putting their practitioners under pressure to do as many treatments as possible and skip vital steps in the process, to have a long, hard think about their own level of professionalism and the ethics of their business. Where are
Good
their
advice.
priorities?
Agreed.
Yes, very good advice.
Yeah.
Look, if anybody is listening and maybe struggling with some of this, I know that there's a lot of resources that you guys, as an association, can provide. Like you have policy templates and your
And we
ethics
also,
modules.
yeah, and we have our ethics in practice module, which is compulsory every 3 years, but it doesn't mean you have to wait 3 years to do it. It's a free module. There's the one by Priscilla Fleming that I talked about, safety and solicitation in the massage industry. That's a really good one to do. Yeah, just jump onto our website and have a look, and anything you can do, and you get CPE points and hours for those things, just a little plug. But yeah, anything you can do to, it's not even upskilling, to increase your knowledge of all of this, I think, is read the Code of Ethics. It's on the website. You all tick a box and say, I agree to abide by the Code of Ethics and standards of practice. Be aware of it. There may be something in there that you just hadn't thought of.
Yeah. Ignorance is not a defense.
No, it's not. No. But do your clinic notes.
Oh, goodness. Yes. Love the clinic notes.
Yeah.
Love the clinic notes. I know. They take, but I suppose, too, the more you do them, the better at them, I presume you get.
Yeah.
That's very true.
And with the digitisation of health records, we've been working with the Australian Digital Health Agency, one of our directors, Charlotte Keane, to ensure that she's on the Terminology Workforce Committee, I think it's called, to make sure that all the terminology within a massage practice is included in the digitisation of health records, because things vary from modality to modality, health modality to modality, and she's done a lot of work for us with that to ensure.
That is so exciting. Honestly.
It is. It's great, and fingers crossed it all works, and then our practitioners will, like your patients, will be able to tick a box, and you will be able to correspond with their other healthcare workers.
Yeah.
So
fantastic.
It will be, and there'll be a lot of drop downs and all sorts of things the way the government is speaking. But it's going to take time to implement these things. But there's a lot of moving parts in it between CSIRO, the Allied Health Professions Association, the Department of Health and Ageing, associations. There's a lot involved in it. But I'm confident that when it's launched, it'll be really well worth it and being involved in it. So, yeah. So maybe, health records will become easier to keep.
That's exciting.
All right, well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us, this Anne. Anne is the CEO of Massage Myotherapy Australia. And we've enjoyed this conversation. Just do the right thing, guys.
Do the right thing. Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate it, and it's a good way to get messages out, so thank you.
It's a pleasure. We love chatting with you, Anne. Thank you for coming on again.
You're welcome.
If you have enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to like and subscribe to the Folding Towels podcast through your favourite listening app. We are on the socials through Facebook, through Instagram, through LinkedIn, and soon to be YouTube as well. We also love hearing from you, so you can reach out to us through our website, foldingtowespodcast.com.au. If you have an episode idea that you'd dearly like us to talk about, please send us a message.
Bye, everybody.
See you in the next one.
See you, David.